is stunning. Yesterday in the news, we have a prominent Iranian cleric. Now, this is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's spiritual mentor. He came out yesterday urging followers to ramp up suicide attacks against the Israelis. He says they're legitimate and a must for every Muslim. He even believes it's okay for suicide bombing attacks to target Israeli children. May I ask you, good or evil? Say it and speak it by its name. Do not tolerate it. Now, this is in a region that just had Nakba Day protests. 90 days ago, I couldn't even told you what Nakba meant. Now, I have educated myself, and I see what it means. Nakba is the great catastrophe. Nakba Day, the day of the great catastrophe. What is the great catastrophe? Day of independence for Israel, the founding of independence of Israel. It would be like the rest of the world celebrating the 4th of July while chanting "Kill the Americans" and meaning it. These people were in the streets over the last couple of weeks, not just encouraging but salivating over the slaughter of Jews. They rushed the borders, they instigated clashes with Israeli border security, and there is another flotilla now planned. There is also something new now, on Facebook again. The Youth of June 5th. This is pro-Palestinian groups. Remember, not anti-Israelis. No, they've learned. Pro-Palestinian groups. They are planning yet another border protest this Sunday. This is going to protest the anniversary of the Six-Day War. You know those borders that the president keeps talking about? This is the anniversary of those borders. They want those all across the Arab world to rush the Israeli borders from Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Gaza. Hit them from all sides. They're planning this Sunday. I told you yesterday that they would rush the Israeli borders to force the Israelis to shoot them. They will. I don't know if it will be this Sunday, but they will. When that happens, it just depends on who has control of the media and if Americans and the rest of the world understand that you're being set up, and so is Israel. People don't understand why I keep harping on Israel. Well, because you need to know you're being set up. People will say, well, they've hated each other for years. The Jews and the Palestinians and the Arabs, they've been going at it for thousands of years. They're never going to sell it. I don't care. Let them attack each other. I can relate to that because I used to be the same exact way up until really after 9/11. It took me about a year to really begin to understand the importance. If you've listened to my radio program for a long period of time, you know that when September 11th happened, people called me and asked and said, how did this happen? Why did this happen? And I said, I'm not sure yet, but I will try to find an answer. I made my first trip over to the Middle East right after September 11th, and I found my answers. It took me about a year, but I found my answers. If you've listened to me, you know that I was on the Iranian story and the Muslim extremist story for a very long time. Over at the other network, I was the one that brought you a special that was, believe me, over at the other network, it was like pulling teeth to get it done, to show you Muslim extremists in their own words. That hadn't been done before on American television until I was over there. I know this story. I know who these people are. I know what we're up against. We are up against, and so is Israel, the exact same people that flew planes into the World Trade Center. But that's not their way they're being imaged now. They've learned. It is no longer an acceptable position for Americans or anyone on the face of the earth to close their eyes. Not because we have the responsibility to protect, as the president says, but because self-ignorance, self-imposed ignorance, is dangerous. It is dangerous to the Jews. It is dangerous to Israel. It is dangerous to the world. It is dangerous to the United States. It is dangerous to you and your soul, quite frankly. I've told you, as Israel goes, so goes the Western world. They are the keystone to freedom in the Middle East. If they fall, we all fall. Tonight, I'm going to show you history. I've got less than an hour now, so we're going to have to race through this program. But you need to have some perspective on where this hatred has come from. Please pardon the sloppiness, because we're going to cover 2,000 years.